What's going on, everybody? This is Jerome Moore, host and creator of Deep Dish Conversations. And firstly, I want to say thank you for all love and support, and thank you for exploring the perspectives of social change with me on this platform. I want to encourage you all to like, subscribe, and follow us on YouTube and on your favorite podcast listen platform. And make sure you give us a 5-star rating if you're loving the Deep Dish Conversations. I appreciate all of the support again. I hope you all enjoy this episode. Nisha, Tyra, welcome to the platform. How y'all doing?
Hello, thank you for having us.
Hi, thank you.
Yeah, so now I'm excited to get into this conversation about Breakaway, y'all's organization, and what y'all trying to do for the domestic violence community and just justice and take care of community, right?
Yes.
And so just like y'all just both take a little time to like just tell us who you are, right?
Okay.
And whoever want to go first can go first.
Sorry, you want to go?
I was just gonna ask you. You sure you don't want to go?
Go ahead.
That's your baby, you know. Okay. My name is Tara. You asked me my name and how I got into this. Or
Yeah. Just something about like where you from.
I thought, okay.
Yeah, we will
Tara
get into
Bender.
yeah.
I'm from Lebanon, Tennessee.
Mm-hmm.
I am the mother of 2 boys. I am currently the president.
You are?
The president of Breakaway. I also work with other organizations for the charter schools. So let's just say I'm very hands-on and hands-in with a lot when it comes to the community, especially for the Black community.
Okay. But so yeah, Nisha, tell us a little bit about who you are, where you from, and your credentials with the organization Breakaway.
Okay, well, my name is Nisha Simpson, and I am from St. Louis, Missouri. I came here for college. I attended Fisk University, and I am the executive director and founder of Breakaway.
Cool. So as the executive director, as the founder, what is Breakaway about? What is the mission? What is the purpose of Breakaway?
Oh, that's a deep question, but the mission of Breakaway is to provide comprehensive services for domestic violence and sexual assault victims. We look to help them bridge the gap between surviving and being able to thrive as survivors.
Right. And so, because I've talked to a lot of judges on here, and come to find out, right, that 50% of the crime here is domestic violence crime, right? So it's happening a lot. Right, 50% of the time, right? And so I can see how it can never be too many resources for domestic violence victims, right? And just which are like 70% women, right? And so not to say men don't face it, but the super majority is women, and and nobody can talk from a woman's perspective better than a woman. And so I'm gonna let y'all do a lot of the talking here, and I'm gonna be a learner and a listener, right?
That's a good trait and quality to have.
Yeah, because again, I'm a man, so I can't, and in this situation, like significantly affects women, right?
And children.
And children, right? Yeah, and so
Mostly affected.
Yeah, and so, Tyra, how did you? Why is this important to you? What's your story?
My testimony, honey. I have a background, but I wanted to be a part of it because of just I was one of those. I would call myself a survivor.
Okay.
I dealt with it first and foremost. Like I grew up. To be honest, I grew up in a domestic violence in a home. So once my mama got away from all that. She built a better life for us. So it was nothing that I really wanted I never wanted that for my kids. So once I realized that I was actually in a domestic abusive relationship, marriage, I wanted better. Once we separated, I had to go through the whole order of protection thing to get away from it, to get out of it. I did not really know what I was facing. I had 2 small children. I got married very young at 19 years old, so it was like that's all I knew. So when I wanted more, and I went to the domestic violence shelter, I went to the transitional housing, and what I learned in my friend was with me every step of the way. But what I've learned was, unless you're willing to get out and fight to stay out and do what you have to do to rebuild, because not only are you running away, well, they say running away, you actually have to start all over.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's where the challenge is, which is where Breakaway comes in. The challenge is, once you leave, just so you don't have to go back, because I saw a lot of women going back, and enduring the same things. I refused.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to fight for me and my children. I had to educate myself, on what to do, what was next. I had to put a plan together.
Mm-hmm.
It was only by the grace of God and meeting Ranisha and other people throughout the community. It's always the ones you don't know. It's always strangers who
Right.
ends up helping you. So those strangers became my sponsors. They became my support system, which led me to doing what I needed to do for me and my kids, so we could, so I could build my credit back up, so I could get us a place to stay, so I could get that car, get back in school. Like, this is everything that I was able to do,
Right.
that I was not able to do in the relationship.
And so I want to dive in deeper into some of those things, because I know
Mhm.
like that's some of the stuff that a lot of women, or just a lot of people that face domestic violence have to battle through, right? But before that, Nisha, what inspired you and encouraged you to want to start an organization like Breakaway?
Well, that's a long story, just like Tyra said.
We got time,
It started.
Listeners and viewers want to know.
It started when I was younger. I'm also a survivor of domestic violence and sexual assault. So it started when I was younger, and in the African American community, oftentimes we have this taboo and this stereotype that needs to be broken, that what goes in the house stays in the house.
Right.
And that damages kids, because when you're told not to say anything or to be quiet or act like anything doesn't happen, you internalize that. You internalize those feelings, and you begin to think, what did I do? Could this have something that I have prevented?
Right.
And that follows you. That follows you in, to your interpersonal relationships throughout your life. And it affects each interpersonal relationship. So it started when I was younger, and then I also saw my mother, who was in several domestic violence relationships as a young child. I was by her side, trying to help her get out through it. Not even get out, but help her stay alive through those events.
Yeah.
And then lastly, in college, I was raped. And then...
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn. Sorry, dude. Sorry you had to experience that. Shit.
Yeah, it was hard. And I've known many women, many girls in college that have had the same experience. One of my very best friends, she is a huge testimony, and she went through the whole entire process and got justice. And I commend her for that, because I couldn't do it.
Right. Did you not get justice, or did you just not say anything?
I didn't say anything to anybody. It was at a party, and I didn't, like I said, the only people that knew was after we left the party, and I had said something days later, and they eventually found out that way. And like I said, we were all in the same house. The music was loud, so it's crazy that you can be in a house full of 5-10 individuals, and no one comes and helps you.
Wow.
So that's the
so
situation I was in.
you was like yelling for help.
I was yelling, I was banging on walls.
Wow. Damn.
Help didn't come. So I had to fight my way out of that situation, unfortunately.
People don't know, like, that's very traumatizing, especially when you're a young girl. Like, that's very traumatizing, and you take that with you.
Yeah,
like,
I was
throughout,
16.
You take it with you throughout your whole entire life, even in relationships, like, especially relationships with males, like.
And it doesn't have to be intimate. Like, you can
It's
have
never.
a best friend who's a guy,
Yeah.
and the balance is off because you have that baggage, that hurt, that pain that you're carrying along with you throughout your years. And so going back to why I started Breakaway, I interned at the Gene Crow Advocacy Center. I was an intern there, helping individuals get orders of protection. I would go with them to court. I would, get them into transitional housing, and then from there, I transitioned to a domestic violence advocate role at Legal Aid. And then at Legal Aid is where I met Tara, and our story is ridiculous, but I followed her through the whole process of her coming into our doors at Legal Aid, and following to like the woman that she has become now.
What's so crazy is I was working with them before she got there. But no, I did not get the help and the dedication until she got there. Like, literally, she called me one day and she was like, "Hi, I'm your new advocate." And I'm like, "Oh, hi." And how I am, I don't really trust. Like, I have a hard time opening up. And she gave me that space at first, and then she was just like, "Hey, we got stuff to do. We got to get on the ball." And I'm just like, I was used to doing it by myself. So when she came along and she helped me, it was like, okay, so it's not just me anymore. Like, I have that support.
Right.
So I call her my fairy godmother.
So this is a lot to unpack right now.
It is. Let's unpack it.
Because
We don't have the time for everything.
yeah. So, but no, we got time. We got time.
Oh, he said we got time.
We got time. Because as a man, right? Just from my own learning, and just like this is probably my first time having a direct conversation about these type of instances, things that happen to women, right? Things that happen to human beings, right?
Right.
And so I want to just commend both of y'all just for being courageous and calling it out and like doing something about it, right? In your own unique ways, right? So I have a question I want to pose to y'all, because I see that that it's become a slippery slope when women accuse a man of rape, right? Especially when they might have a high profile status, right? Celebrity or something like that, or it has been significant time has passed, 7 years, 10 years, right? And so many people say, "Dang, well, why didn't
you say something beforehand?" Right,
and also, I think too, some learned behavior from that is, you can be taught not to believe because of people have lied, women have lied, right, for own personal gain, right? And so I think now in the society, it's like we want to listen to women or anybody, but it's like that thing, like, well, is she telling the truth? Because it's been cases, high profile cases, that women have came out and been proven that they have lied on a man. And I think it's really, really hit home for the black community too, right?
For sure.
And so how do y'all feel about that, being victims of those type of situations? And maybe victims as survivors, I would probably say. I think that speaks more to it. Yeah, warriors, right? To those type of sentiments and narratives that happen in like today's society when it comes to women coming forward and saying, "Hey, I've been raped, but it was 10 years ago." Or, "Hey, I just been raped by this high profile person. It happened at 2 a.m. He invited," so there's situations that cause people to pause a lot of times and question, what is the best way to support people like that? And, even if you have like questions and things like that, without
passing judgment.
Passing judgment, yeah.
My biggest thing is if someone discloses that they have been a victim of sexual assault or domestic violence, you believe them.
Okay.
My first thing is I would believe them.
Okay.
I wouldn't as a friend, as a future psychologist, I'm not going to chastise or poke holes in your story. I'm going to listen to what you're going to have to say. And that's a huge issue, I feel, that people don't do. You don't listen. It takes nothing to sit down and just hear somebody out. Yes, we may have our own biases of, well, what was she wearing?
It doesn't matter.
What was she wearing? What was she doing? Was she drinking? When those questions become a play, it makes victims not want to say anything, and makes victims not want to speak out. Right. So just by lending a listening ear can go so far. And we have this saying in the justice system, innocent until proven guilty. All I have is my word. And for me, my word is my bond. So if I'm coming to you and disclosing, something that has happened to me, I want to be taken seriously. And I'm not saying that there's not individuals who do lie. It happens. But this conversation to me is so important that if someone is coming and disclosing that type of thing to you, you take them serious as first.
Okay.
We see this a lot in I would say, I'm not even gonna just say the black community. We see it a lot in the minority community.
Yeah.
Because just like she said, we're taught. Well, I don't know. You have different type of households. In my household, it was taught. My mom always told us, if anybody ever touch you, do anything to you, you come and tell me right away. And then you.
Is that really true though?
Right, but then you have those that don't tell their parent, or you have some parents that just don't want to know, they want to hide it and turn a blind eye to it. But even when you feel comfortable enough, or your parent is telling you, come and tell me right away, even females today, like even a lot of the black and minority females, it takes a lot. It takes a lot for someone to actually come and admit what has happened to them, if something has happened to them. And it's not just, yes, it's the fear of someone believing you, but it's just sometimes if you open up and talk about it or say it out loud, it makes it reality.
Right.
So some people like to just forget. They don't want to remember it, so they black it out. But at the end of the day, when you're blacking traumatizing events like that out, it still comes up. Right. Even in the future, in your adulthood, if it happens in your childhood, it will come back up in your adulthood. Right.
And it's the same thing for men.
Yeah.
Men are, obviously it's less reports. We know that 1 in 5 or 1 in 6 men are sexually assaulted each year. But it's the fact that their masculinity may be questioned. Their manhood may be questioned.
Yep.
Like you upset that a girl trying to hit on you? Like you start to feel some type of way as well. So it goes both ways.
It's all about suppressing the feelings and suppressing what has happened. But at the end of the day, this is why Breakaway was created, and which is why we wanted to bring awareness, in the month of April for the steps, because we don't care, men, women, children,
LGBTQ plus community.
We support you all. Okay? So just know that there is an organization here where we've actually been where you are, or where you're going, or where you want to go. Like, only someone with experience could have the heart and the dedication that we have to support you throughout that journey.
So, some more unpacking.
Yeah.
Some more unpacking. I'm trying to remember my thoughts, right? I'm starting to remember my thoughts because y'all saying some real powerful shit right now and some good stuff.
I'm not nervous anymore, huh?
Yeah, they say they was nervous. Now y'all come with that pressure. So I want to ask you all, like, what does sexual assault look like? And this is why I asked you that, because I think, again, it is becoming a very slippery slope, especially, I think, depending on culture, right?
Yeah.
Because, especially you can start at teenagers, right? Flirting, it could be a slippery slope. Is it flirting, or is once I touch you a certain way as a man or as a young man, is that sexual assault, right? Is it oh man, stop don't do that, don't, like, how, culturally, because it's hard to, those are slippery slopes, and depending culturally, I might get in signs where she's saying no, but it's coming off like it's flirtation, she really want me to do it, right? Those type of things are like very blurry lines that I think that you can either be getting sexually assaulted and not know it, or you can be, sexually assaulting somebody and not know it, right? But it depends, and I think it depends on the person, how they feel. But I think a lot of people could fall victim to that type of sexual assault, especially teenagers, right? Because I know, I know from third, fourth grade, I can remember like just slapping girls on the butt, right, playing. But that could be
harassment.
that could be considered sexual. But and I'm like life gone because I'm thinking we playing, a game or something. But like so what does sexual assault and sexual harassment look like in different variations? Because like they can look different to other people than the others.
It does, and like you said, I feel like it is a cultural thing. But I think what it boils down to, logically, is consent.
Okay.
It's consent. And I know that, like, we ask people to be your girlfriend or your boyfriend. You ask individuals to marry you.
Right.
You ask individuals before you take that next step in a relationship, are you okay with this?
Right.
Or, I know we don't necessarily, say, like, as far as, like, touching and holding hands, but it boils down to consent. And also, I feel like with females, flirtatious, because the lines do get blurred. So if you don't want somebody doing that, tell them no. Mm-hmm. Tell them stop. I'm not comfortable with that, because at the end of the day, you don't know what somebody has been through in the past, and you could trigger them. So consent and drawing those boundaries. I think boundaries are very important. And again, I know high school, middle school, hormones are raging, right? Hormones are raging. But when you get to that age where your brain is cognitively developed and you understand right from wrong, consent or no consent, that's when I feel like the line shouldn't be blurred anymore.
It's up to the parents to educate the teenagers on knowing the difference.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about knowing the difference. And anytime, like I said, I have 2 boys, 2 sons, and I teach them, anytime a girl says no, she means no. I don't care if she's laughing, if she's saying it in a flirtatious manner, she means no.
Right.
And vice versa with a man or any member of the LGBTQ plus community, because it's not just women. If a guy, you don't know what a man or a boy has been through in his past, because it happens to them as well. Mm-hmm. So if you don't know if, like, touching him, rubbing on his arm or anything like that, mm-hmm, may trigger him.
Right. Yeah, these are conversations that I definitely didn't have as a young man. And then there wasn't space either, right? There wasn't like it wasn't no school conference or no auditorium. Come on here, we're gonna talk about this. In my day,
we had, what was it?
Like
we had
sex
education.
Yeah.
And then in middle school, and then they took it out, and then so when it was my turn, when I asked my mom never had the sex. What's that? The sex talk with us about the
birds and the bees.
We didn't get that. You know what she did? Because she had 3 girls. She put on the movie Kids. Anybody remember Kids? The movie. It's a very old movie.
No, I don't remember Kids.
Oh my gosh! It's called Kids. It was basically, she scared us. It was basically where different high school students. One girl was sexually assaulted at a party, and from there she became, the word they want to use, loose, but really she wasn't loose. She was just trying to find herself, and she was trying to cope with what happened to her.
Right.
And the guy that did it, he had AIDS. So all these different students was just going around having sex with each other, not knowing that they're spreading AIDS. So that's how my mom had the birth.
And that's another thing within, like, the African American community. Don't scare kids, because it's going to happen.
Right.
It helped me. It scared me.
Like, but scaring kids, like, you can have a decent conversation without scaring your kids.
So it's all about education.
What's going on, everybody? This is Jerome Moore, host and creator of these conversations. Go check out Moroccan olive oils. You can go find them at their website at healthyearthorganics.com. They ship everywhere, even outside the United States. Moroccan olive oil specializes in all natural and organic products. Moroccan olive oil has been in business since 1887, which is 4 generations. They have very low acidity. It's also great for cooking and finishing. Investors are welcome to join to invest in the business right here in the United States. Moroccan olive oil, go check them out. Thank you and enjoy this episode. This is good. This is real good. Now, this is good. This is good. I know the listeners and the viewers, they like, damn, this is some good shit right here. Clearly, there's a lot of resources and organizations that you would think that caters to the victims of domestic violence, right?
There are
Right.
a lot of great resources in that.
And so, what makes Breakaway kind of different in the approaches, and what void are y'all filling here for the Nashville community?
So, right. So,
Yeah, cause remember, talk to us like we don't know, right? Talk to us like we don't know what is happening. Well, me specifically, right? That happens in the domestic abuse world, right? And so,
I'm gonna break it down.
yeah, break it down to
I
me.
am. So I'm gonna go through this process. So if a victim, I'm gonna start with the victim. So if a victim comes to the Gene Crow Advocacy Center or the Family Safety Center and is trying to get away, this is the getaway stage. They go, they seek an order of protection. They seek resources such as the YWCA to, get shelter for 30 days, a few months or whatever, just so they can kind of get back on their feet. So once, the orders of protections are done and they're served and they're signed by the commissioner and the victim is out of the toxic environment they were once in, they're in this home, this shelter, and, for 30 days trying to, they're, presented with the case manager that, attempts to help them and things of that nature. Once the 30 days are up, where you gonna go? Once the order of protection's up for 30 days, 60 days, a year, what am I gonna do?
Right.
Because to me, once everything is signed, sealed, and stamped, it's like, what's next? And I feel like that's where the ball is being dropped, is the what's next. Because you have women who are coming out of homes, and domestic violence and sexual assault is about power and control. So if I'm controlling your finances, I'm controlling your education, I'm controlling on how and who and when you can talk to individuals. Some of those things have to be relearned. Some of those things have to be brought up because you're somewhat isolated. And I'm not saying this in all situations, but you're relearning. You're relearning yourself. You're building.
And so I'm assuming that individual after 30 days, if they don't have anywhere else to go, or family or support to lean on, they probably go back to the abuser.
They're left with going back to the abuser.
1 out of 7 women return.
Yes.
It takes 7 times, at least 7 times, for a victim of domestic violence to get out of the situation they're in.
But domestic violence is not just
crazy.
physical.
Right.
A lot of people think it's just all physical. It's not just physical. Like she said, it could be financial, because I didn't know I was dealing with that until after I went to the shelter. There's physical, financial, they say sexual, mental, spiritual,
All of those.
It's all of the above. So a lot of people, please do not get it mixed up, because it's not just physical. Because you can't have someone controlling you mentally, spiritually,
And you not even
know it. And then when they have your mind, they can control every aspect or everything else that you got going on, including the financial. So it's like you really don't know where to turn.
And so once he's isolated you from your family, right? Because at this point, they probably mad at you. They probably like, I told you, he was no good. Or, you have friends and it was like, I told you to leave him alone. Or I told you to leave her alone. And you don't have anyone to call. So you're out on your own. But, you have resources and organizations that's willing to help you. So what Breakaway is attempting to try to do is bridge that gap between surviving and thriving. That's what we're trying to do. So we're trying to provide comprehensive services. And like Tara just said, mental, physical, financial. We want to make sure we're taking care of the person from a holistic perspective.
Right.
So I created evidence-based, because research is important. If you don't have the data to back up what you're doing, it's pointless. Because it's like, what goal are you reaching? What goal are you trying to obtain? So for me, it was evidence-based approaches as far as building on the mental, the mind, the body, and the spirit in order to cultivate that person back to a whole again.
Right.
Like I said, there was plenty of days when I wanted to give up because it's very hard, especially when you're, like I said, I wasn't young anymore. I was like 28 years old with 2 babies. So it was like starting all over from everything that I had started before I got in the relationship. Like I was in school, you know, I had 2 jobs. Like I was on my own place, like my own car, like I had it all. And I was building myself. So when you're trying to rebuild yourself with children, and 9 times out of 10, a lot of these women have children. And sometimes the parents and the family do not know what you're going through because you're so embarrassed to even say it out loud.
Right.
So it's like when you have to start all over with kids, that takes a different toll on you.
Right.
Not just physically, but mentally. It starts with your mental, and then it affects your spirit, and then it affects your physical appearance. Which is why with Breakaway, we focus on the internal, because if you can build yourself from within, you can build yourself and do anything you set your mind to.
Right.
But it's all about having to be there mentally and spiritually.
Man, this is y'all over here blowing my mind right now, because again, you talk to a person who has never experienced domestic violence, right? Knowingly, right?
Right.
And so everything that y'all are giving me right now, giving the watchers and the listeners, like this is the inside scoop. And you said something, Nisha. You said make people whole, right?
Yeah.
That healing process, right?
Yes.
And so y'all are very close to the situation, right?
Yes.
On the everyday, right? Being survivors, being warriors, right? In this, how are you all staying mentally balanced and holistic and not being triggered? Because, like, you know, I'm pretty sure, like, it's something y'all have to live with.
Vicarious trauma.
Yeah,
It's real.
you know, every
It
day.
is.
And so, how do you all, you know, separate the workload, the caseloads y'all gonna have with Breakaway, and then personal life, but also not getting re-triggered from your own personal experiences dealing with domestic abuse, rape, assault, all of those things?
My biggest thing when I started Breakaway and working in nonprofits, burnout is real. Burnout and vicarious trauma is very real with dealing with these type of issues. And so as a mental health professional, I take my self-care very seriously. I make sure that there are times if I need to mentally get myself together, I take a step back. I take a step back. I roller skate on Sundays down at Rivergate.
Okay.
I spend time with my sister, my family. I watch shows. I binge watch TV. And those are my get-up. Oh, and I love to go get my nails done. I think that's my number one self-care that I do for myself. I leave my phone in the car and I just go in and I have a day to myself. So that's something that's really important to me. And for Breakaway, we included a mental health component to where, if individuals, on my team, I don't call them staff because we're all a team, I consider them family pretty much. And, if they needed to go see one of, the psychologists or one of the interns, they can do that. They have that space to do that.
Right.
Oh, well, me, like I said, I have 2 kids. So breaking the cycle is my main focus. So I do know when working with others, just because of my experience, I don't feel like it's gonna, because I don't feel like it affect moving forward. I don't think it affect me, working with others who have dealt with that trauma, who have been through domestic violence or sexual assault. Like I said, just my experience alone makes me want to do more and help others who are not as educated, who doesn't know. And who's better to do it than the person who's actually been there where you are? Right. And a lot of people, like I said, a lot of people have a hard time trusting you if you really don't know where they've been or where they're coming from.
Right.
So just by me having that experience, is going to make me work harder to help somebody else just because I only had Ronisha in my corner, keeping me, like, make me want to fight every day, to do what I needed to do every day. And then I had my kids that I had, who were looking at me every day.
Right.
So it's like I had to fight and push through all of that trauma.
Mm-hmm.
To piggyback off of what you said about having individuals who look like you and been where you are,
That makes a
if
difference.
you are in a classroom, I use this analogy. If you have a professor, and you want to be a cook, right? You want to be a culinary artist, but your professor is a doctor. How's it gonna work?
Ain't gonna pan out too well.
It's not.
Yeah.
So I'll use that analogy because as African Americans, as women, I wanted to make sure my board represents the population that is underrepresented. I have minorities on my board. I wanted to have a space to where when someone walk into my building, they can say, or little kids be like, I look like her.
Right.
She looks like me, and I could be like that.
Because that's the whole. Really, if you think about it, that's the whole key. Like, because anybody that we're going to help and anybody that walks through those doors will know and feel like we are a team. Like, we're not looking at you like you're a statistic. We're not looking at you like you're a victim. We're not looking at you like you have somebody with their hand out. Like, we're actually coming across as we're all a team and we're going to rebuild. And long as you put that work in, you're going to have that support. Like I said, going through everything that I went through, going through the domestic violence shelters and the transitional housings, like, what I saw there and what I witnessed, yeah, we have a lot, but it was like, I also saw a lot of women give up. And I wish we had this platform then to where, I was able to talk to these women and be like, you got to push through. There's like 3 women that I know of that we formed a sisterhood. We formed a sisterhood, we formed a bond. And once we got out, I'm only friends with just one of them to this day. And I call her my shelter sister.
Right.
But the other women, we know they went back to their abusers, and I don't know where they are now. So it was like I've only stayed in touch with one.
I got another kind of deep question for y'all, because we know this is the United States, this is America. There's always disparities around equability when it comes to services and resources, right? And a lot of times when people are harmed, there's usually black and brown people at a disproportionate rate. And there's not we're not heard the same, especially like black women, right? Not listened to the same, not heard, not taken as serious. And so is that the same case when it comes to like sexual assault, domestic violence in the organizational space, right? Are black women, being treated disproportionately different than white counterparts, when it comes to getting the resources and the support that they need?
Yes.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think there's a gap, and it's not necessarily the organization's fault.
It's just systemically.
Systemically, the system is jacked up. And when I was working, I learned that, they have to adhere to a quote-unquote poverty level, right? So if you don't hit this specific threshold, if you are above it, you can't get the services that you need. And I'm not saying that, like, again, that could be due to grants, that could be to federal grants, that could be due to, a countless amount of information. But if you don't hit this threshold, it's almost like with food stamps. You can do this good. We want you to do good, but not good enough to where, you can exceed that.
Right.
Exactly. So if you make a certain amount of money, you out.
Right.
And so it's like, okay, I want to do better, but I'm good where I'm at right now. So with Breakaway, I've lifted the poverty level, created kind of my own. I think the standard is like 200%. Mine is 400, to where an individual who's making minimum wage, after they, feed their family, after they, pay bills, after they take care of everything that they have in the household, it's like, what's left?
Right.
I've done all of these things, but I can't afford daycare.
Right.
I can't afford mental health services. Insurance only covers maybe 3 or 4 visits, but that's an intake session.
And if you don't have them on child support, they can't find the father. They don't give the insurance benefits.
So it's like you have all of these. Yeah, I have the day-to-day living, but now what? I still need those extra services. So that's where Breakaway comes in, to where we can provide free mental health. We have individuals who, we could do telehealth. You can come in and speak to someone. We have daycare to where the percentage is waived, and hopefully the government or other individuals we can cover the other half. Another thing that I found with daycare is individuals were bringing their kids to court. Yeah. So vicarious trauma is not just for adults, it's for children too, that are sitting, listening to their mom and their father go back and forth, and maybe not understanding why. Maybe they do understand why, and they're still playing victim to that. The wellness program, individuals may not be able to afford a gym membership.
Right.
So they may not be able to afford, healthy nutrition, nutritionist way of eating.
Right.
So I want to provide that. And lastly, I want to provide a space to where, they can come in and, get help, get the help that they need. So the mental health, the wellness, the daycare, and skill enhancement. When you leave your abusers, you're going to need some skills. Right. You're going to need some education.
Right. What are some things? Because I always like to focus on a lot of times, like I want to focus on how can we not have to have organizations like Breakaway, right? That's ideally, right? Right. Ideally, I want to put you out of a job,
out of business,
right?
We need organizations.
But look, we need them because of the harm that is being done, right? That's why we need them, right?
Well, yeah.
Right. That's why we need them, right? So I'm thinking, and I'm wondering if y'all have suggestions or ideas. How can we prevent people from committing sexual assault and domestic violence before they do it, right? What are some things, because what are some like, in what age, when does that start? Like,
so from my standpoint, from like a research standpoint, it starts when you're young. It starts when you're young and you're learning, because learned behavior, the environment that you're in, those 1 to 5 years are crucial. Mm-hmm. They are crucial. So for me in my household, I was, seeing domestic violence at a young age. And a lot of, the saying is, individuals who have been abused or have been victimized become perpetrators because that's what they know. So statistically, if I see, I'm a male, and I know, again, this is not always the case, but it's, the stereotype. I'm a man and I'm beating on my wife or the mother of my child, and my son sees that, and my mother is tolerating it because she's saying, oh, I forgive you, I'll come back without any consequences that they don't see, right? Mm-hmm. And they think that is okay behavior. So when they grow up, again, this is not all cases, but stereotypical behavior, they grow up. My dad beat my mom, and she still loved him. Is that okay for me?
Right.
And same thing with sexual predators. It could be the same way. From a young age, we see individuals being victimized, and they become perpretrators. Mm-hmm. They hear and see the abuse. So they can either go this way or go the opposite way. I don't never want to do that to hurt my mother or my father. But then they can also go the opposite route and become a perpetrator.
It's all about being educating our children. A lot of people feel like, kids are too young, to have this conversation, or they're too young to speak about this. But in reality, they're not. If
they don't see it on TV.
If they're old enough to say, I have a girlfriend, then they're old enough to have that conversation. Because I didn't know, but I know now that kids early as elementary are kissing in the hallways, or holding hands or touching stuff that I was not doing when I was in elementary.
Right.
But, you know, times are changing, and it's like when they start saying certain things, and as a parent, it's our job to listen to our children.
Right.
You know, a lot of the growing up back, I want to say back in the day, you know, most kids were taught, you know, kids are supposed to be seen, not heard. Or you're supposed to keep your mouth shut, or you're not supposed to ask this, or you're not supposed to, but at the same, we have got to listen to our kids to know what's going on in their environment. And if we don't know what's going on in their environment, we can't educate them on what to do next. And it's all about educating them, and it does start young.
And I think too, a lot of that not listening just comes from, you know, parents' own kind of learned behavior, right?
Yeah.
Because if
If
you don't
know.
if you don't know, you don't
Don't
know.
know.
So if you don't
Mhm.
know the red flags, if you're not aware, if you haven't been trying to be intentional about learning, like, you know, they could be, all the signs could be there, but you not educated yourself as a parent, so you
Right.
can't really decode what's happening.
And this has been going on for generations.
Yeah.
It's
This
a
has been
generational
it's
thing.
a generational thing. This is why you would hear me say, I want to break the
Generational
cycle.
curses.
Yeah, no,
We
and
have to.
in talking to y'all, it seems like it's a lot of space for Breakaway to be in schools, and community engagement.
Yeah,
all
no,
the,
for
all the,
sure.
you know, from youth to adults, right? Because these are not conversations that, you know, communities are having, because they're very tense, right? They can be they can be very tense. But I believe in leaning into the tenseness and the uncomfortability, and it can be healthy. You know, you can have a healthy conversation like we having now about it, and you gotta do some reflection, and you gotta take some accountability and admit that you just been doing some stuff wrong, and that's okay. You know,
Right.
as long as you're trying to grow and learn and not continue to perpetuate the same behavior, you know. And I think, you know, y'all, I'm excited for what y'all got planned and what y'all gonna do.
Thank you.
And so,
Thank you.
and to that, like, so what is the next steps for Breakaway, and how can Nashville be a part and support, you know, what y'all have going on and what y'all trying to do?
So many different ways. My biggest thing is support. We look on Instagram and Facebook, and you have, friends, businesses. It takes nothing to share. 95% of the time, we are on our phones anyway, so it takes nothing to share or like information that you're seeing that you feel passionate about. It takes nothing to do that. And then also, we do have our website up at www.breakawayeip.com. Go to our website. Donate is always donate. It's always a good
Right.
donate. It's always a good revenue to
Sponsorships.
help us, do the things that we want to do within the Nashville community. And eventually, we just don't want to stay in Nashville. We want to take this program and go elsewhere. So also, because April is Sexual Assault Awareness Month, we're having a virtual fundraiser. So if you work out, if you run, you walk, you bike, you swim, you hike, you jump rope, you dance, you skate, anything that requires you, moving and taking those steps, we have a virtual fundraiser. And it's, you can find us at like charityfootprints.com/breakaway/. And it's called Walk a Mile in Their Shoes. I've heard this concept say, walk a mile in her shoes. But at the end of the day, women aren't the only individuals that are being victims.
Right.
So we're walking a mile for the LGBTQ plus community. We're walking a mile for minorities. We're walking a mile for children and for men. So it's everybody. That's the biggest thing that is happening right now. And then on April 27th is Denim Day. Are y'all aware? You know what Denim Day is?
Denim.
Denim Day.
Yeah, just wear your denim. Is that what you do?
Okay, so the concept, that is when you wear denim.
You wear your denim?
It is.
Yeah.
But the message behind it was a young woman in another country who fell victim of sexual assault. And the only reason that they did not convict her abuser was because they said her jeans were too tight.
Right.
So on
It
April
happens.
27th, we say that,
Wow.
we wear jeans because the only reason this man was convicted, and I believe she was gang raped if I'm not mistaken, was because they said her jeans were too tight. So April 27th, wear denim, take pictures, tag us
Right.
via Instagram, Breakaway EIP.
I'm gonna have to bring y'all back because no, because I have so many more. Because y'all when you said that, like it just like I'm thinking about culture again. I'm thinking about like kind of where things are promoted, right? Music,
Okay.
movies. Where are we getting these things like they can lead to gang rape culture or to sexual assault or abuse, right? And a lot of that is through a lot of entertainment,
Yeah, I
right?
agree.
That a lot of us support, listen to, and we just ignore like
The trend.
the trend, right? And we just completely we some of us ignore it and just say, oh, that's just music or that's just entertainment, and some of us acknowledge it, but we don't think it does any harm. So I love for y'all to come back
For sure.
and talk about like that
The
that just
subconscious. Ooh, it's
all,
something else.
all of those things, right? That can contribute, right? If I'm
Right.
hearing slap a bitch all the time, and
I wish you would.
and look now and bitch could be bitch is a unisex word, right?
Yeah.
In my opinion, right?
Women made it.
We
a
just saw
unisex
Will
word.
and Chris.
Right.
I
Women made
mean,
it
so
a
Right,
unisex word.
right. And so yeah, it's a unisex word, but but hey, so if you hearing it all the time, right, and you might think, oh yeah, I can do that. And I want to be like my favorite artist or whoever that's saying that because that's what he or she saying. So
That's why I blame the social media. Like I'm in my 30s, I'm in my early 30s, but I will blame it. Because I feel like what I'm seeing, and let's just put it out there, what I'm seeing on social media with how the girls are half naked and they say I dress like this because I want to. I'm not knocking you. Do you? But what are you teaching our little girls? You're basically telling us they got to be an Instagram model or some type of social media model to get this type of attention, but at the end of the day, that's really not the attention that they're seeking.
But I have to challenge that too because they seeing it. But are the parents at home monitoring what's being seen?
and
Are you talking to your child?
Family link. It's family link, girl. You gotta
and
have
look,
family
and so
link.
this is like that's what I'm saying. Y'all got to come back because we can go on and on. For
Yeah,
this.
we can.
Because look, because I'm gonna say this and then I'm gonna give y'all the last word, just in general, because y'all had said something earlier about like women dressing, right? And that's no excuse or reason for them to be sexually assaulted or raped, right? Which I totally agree. But where does kind of understanding the realities of the world we live in, right? I know it's not right for a man to sexually assault a woman because she has a short skirt, right? Mm-hmm. But I understand at the same time, if I had a daughter, I don't. I have a son, but if I had a daughter, I would say, hey, look, I know you want to be able to, you might even be grown, but the signs that this is sending to other men could put you in awkward positions to be catcalled, or sexually assaulted, which is not right. But this is the world. This is the world we live in. So it's unfortunate, but sometimes women have to. I think I hope women understand this and not just use like, well, hey, I shouldn't be touched at all. But like, yeah, we understand. I agree. But the world we live in we all haven't moved forward to that point yet. And so be conscious about it and what could come with it. And it can be rape. It can be sexual assault. It can be all these harmful things that you don't deserve. But, just be conscious of the world and the people that's in this world that we live in that does see that as an invitation sexually, right? And so,
Yeah, because it all depends on short skirts, but at the same time, you've had women in sweatpants and hoodies who have been sexual.
Yeah. So it does. So it don't matter the clothing. Right. Yeah. It don't matter in the clothing at all. But
but dealing with bringing awareness to us and why we were here, we wanted to let people know about Breakaway and what we're doing with our upcoming fundraiser that starts tomorrow. But early registration is today. So you can register today.
And so hopefully we get this video out quick enough.
It's quick enough. But yes, and to my fellow or to my sexual assault victims out there who are listening, and if you feel too afraid to come forward or feel like you have no one to talk to, Breakaway is here.
Yes, we are.
Breakaway is here.
We are.
And we know that, people like to put a stereotype on things and they like to make you feel a certain type of way. If you feel comfortable enough, go get that kit. Because at the end of the day, nobody can take that away from you. When you have that kit, you have your evidence. If you feel like you want to wait years down the line or months down the line, you can, but you still have that evidence, and keep everything with you, because there are people out here who are listening.
And you aren't alone.
And you're not alone.
You're not alone at all. So Breakaway is here. The fundraiser is here. Thank you so much for having us on your show and allowing us to speak about this heavy topic.
This is what this platform is for. And again, like anytime, I want y'all back. I really do, because I think this is a subject that, you know, again, like 70% of the victims are women, and so as a man, I you know, my proximity to it is not close at all, right? And so, and whenever I can learn, and whenever I can grow and be an ally, right, and do whatever I can, you know, to be a better man myself, be able to teach my son, and just be supportive of what y'all doing, and just, you know, just justice, you know, for people that, you know, are victims, you know, or survivors or warriors and all that, you know, from these situations. So thank y'all for the work that y'all doing, the bravery and being courageous for calling this out, and being, you know, a shoulder for other women and other people in general to lean on. Right, and with, you know, being supportive for the Nashville community. So thank y'all. Y'all have a voice and a platform here anytime.
Well,
you know,
you.
and so just hit me up, and make sure people tap in, support, go to the website, you know, all that, and then but thank y'all, Black Queens. I appreciate y'all.
Thank you.